Hello, 5th grade. Hope you're doing well and staying safe at home. We miss you terribly. We're very excited to come back with you again this week for another lesson at home. And this week, our text is going to be about two famous friends. These are men you may already know from social studies, so get excited. But before we do that, I want to share where you can find all of this information, all of the things for math and English, and whatever you might need. And it's a website you're familiar with. This is on hcboe.net. You use this website all the time at school, and so this is where you and your parents can go and click and find information about doing math and English and such at home, because it's important that even though we're not together, we're still learning. Before we get into today's text, though, I want to go over the answers to last week's text. It's called Into the Rapids, about whitewater rafting. This week's text that we're going to be looking at is called Two Famous Friends by Jean K. Petratz. Here we go. Paragraph number 1. Did you ever have an argument with a friend? Did you ever stop being friends? Forever? Or after a while were you friends again? Two famous friends who had their ups and downs were John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. They met in 1775 when they both served in the First Continental Congress. A strong bond grew between them as they worked on the Declaration of Independence. After the end of the Revolutionary War, they were both sent to France to serve their country by making trade treaties. When Adams was then sent to London, the two men wrote to each other. Jefferson's letters expressed his sincere esteem and respect for Adams. When Jefferson visited the Adamses in London in 1786, Adams' wife Abigail wrote to her sister that Jefferson was one of the choice ones of the earth. But in 1789, the two friends disagreed over the revolution in France. Jefferson supported it, but Adams was not so sure. They also disagreed about the role of government in their new nation. Adams, a Federalist, wanted a strong central government. Jefferson, a Republican, believed that states' rights were most important. In the presidential election of 1796, Adams and Jefferson opposed each other. Adams won. Jefferson became vice president. But Jefferson wanted Adams to know that he didn't mind placing second in the election, and he told him, "I have no ambition to govern men." Only 2 years later, however, their friendship was strained when Adams imprisoned editors and publishers who spoke out against the government. Citizens' First Amendment rights were being violated, Jefferson stated. He called Adams a traitor to the Revolution. Adams, Jefferson, and the Second Continental Congress. Jefferson defeated Adams in the next election. Jefferson told Dr. Benjamin Rush, a friend of both Jefferson and Adams, about a conversation he had had with Adams before the results of the election was known. Adams had said, I understand that you are to beat me in this contest, and I will only say that I will be as faithful a subject as any you will have." Jefferson replied, "Mr. Adams, this is no personal contest between you and me. Two systems of government divide our fellow citizens into two parties. With one of these you concur, and I with the other." And Adams had agreed. It seemed that the two men had put away hostilities. Before Jefferson took office, Adams quickly used a new law to appoint several judges. Then, hurt by his defeat in the election, he went home to Massachusetts, missing Jefferson's inauguration. Immediately, President Jefferson pardoned everyone jailed by Adams. And since he felt that Adams' appointment of judges was a personal attack, Jefferson had the new law repealed. This meant that Adams' son, John Quincy Adams, lost his post. Both Adams and his wife Abigail blamed Jefferson. Jefferson and Adams wrote several more letters, but they were filled with hurt. To halt more harsh words, they stopped writing. Dr. Rush called the rift between Jefferson and Adams a national misfortune. After all, the two men were symbols of American independence. Then, in October 1809, Dr. Rush claimed to have had a dream. Jefferson and Adams would renew their friendship and be sunk into the grave nearly at the same time. He encouraged both men to begin writing to each other again. Finally, on New Year's Day in 1812, Adams wrote a note to Jefferson and sent him 2 volumes published by his son. Jefferson responded in a letter dated January 21st. From then on, for 14 years, the two old friends wrote back and forth, discussing natural science, history, architecture, religion, art, and agriculture. As Dr. Rush said he dreamed, Jefferson and Adams died within hours of each other. That was on July 4th, 1826, 50 years to the day after the approval of the Declaration of Independence. Upon renewing their friendship, Jefferson had written to Adams, "We were fellow laborers in the same cause. Still, we did not expect to be without rubs and difficulties, and we had them. Many friends have problems, but theirs was surely greater than ours. For when Jefferson and Adams did not agree, the whole country lined up behind one or the other. Even so, their respect for each other brought them back together." Now that we've read the text, it's time to look at some questions. This week there are 4 multiple choice questions. And the standard I really want you to focus on this week is finding the main idea. We did that in the first week, and so you should be familiar with it. We're going to think about, what does the author want us to know, and what can we learn from reading this passage? And so as you're thinking of that, you've got to be able to find text evidence to support your answers. So when we look at questions 1 and 2, they're going to ask us, what is the main idea of the text? And then, which piece of information from the passage proves that I am right? Or which piece of information supports my answer? Let's read the first question. Number 1, part A. Which statement best expresses the main idea of the text? Remember, read through all of your answer choices before marking any of them out. Once you've found an answer that you like in part A, it's time to move to part B. Question number 2 says, which detail from the text best supports the answer to part A? Remember, it's like being able to draw a line from your answer choice in 1 to your answer choice in 2. They have to match. You have to be able to say, this sentence proves that my answer is correct. And remember, if you don't find an answer in part B that matches your answer choice in part A, chances are your answer in part A is wrong. And it's okay to go back and fix your answer for number 1 and then select an answer that matches in number 2. Now that you have 1 and 2 answered, we can move on to 3 and 4. These are a part A, part B question as well. We're looking at something different here. This is a standard about the author's purpose. Why did the author write this? What was their reason for writing this? And so, looking at question 3, it says, which statement best captures the author's purpose in the text? Your answer choices are A. The article shows how Jefferson and Adams' disagreements negatively impacted both their friendship and America. B. The article encourages readers to resolve whatever problems they might have with a close friend. C. The article illustrates how difficult it is to maintain close relationships with people of opposing views. D. The article emphasizes that true friendship can survive extreme disagreement like the one between Jefferson and Adams. You've read through the answer choices. You need to think to yourself, did this happen in the story? Is this what the author was writing about? So let's do A, for example. A says, the article shows how Jefferson and Adams' disagreements negatively impacted both their friendship and America. Did this happen in the story? Is this what the author was telling me? I'm going to save A. I'm not going to mark that out. That's a pretty good answer. Moving on to B. The article encourages readers to resolve whatever problems they might have with a close friend. Is that what the author told me? Well, I don't remember them ever really saying if you have a disagreement, you should solve it. It really talked a whole lot about Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. So B's probably not my best choice. C, the article illustrates how difficult it is to maintain close friendships with people of opposing views. Did the author show me that? Did the article tell me that if I have a friend who thinks differently than me, maybe we're not always going to be best friends? Well, I don't think it said that. And even it talked in the end, even though Thomas Jefferson and John Adams got into it and fussed, that they still became close later in life. So I'm going to mark out C. D says, the article emphasized that true friendships can survive extreme disagreements, like the one between Jefferson and Adams. Was there an extreme disagreement? Yes. Was it a big deal for these two friends? Yes. But did they end up solving it? Yes. So if I had to look back between A and D, I would go to my text evidence and see which one best matches it for that answer. I'm going to let you choose between A and D for number 3, and then find some evidence to support it for number 4. Once you've answered those questions, you can begin working on your writing prompt. This is a very interesting prompt when you think about this text. Let's read it together. The author describes Jefferson and Adams as having a rocky relationship. In your opinion, are they still friends despite the long break they took from keeping in touch? Why or why not? This is asking you, can people still be friends if they don't talk for a while? If you have a friend and you get into an argument and you don't talk for a month or two, and then you start talking to them again, are they still your friend, or did that go away? So when you read this, I want you to look back at the text. Think, were Jefferson and Adams still friends even though they didn't talk for a few years? Why or why not? Use text evidence to support your answer. When you get done with this, you can screenshot it and send in a picture to your teacher, and let us look at what you've done, just to get some feedback. And so, as you read, think very carefully, are they still friends? Remember, use capital letters and punctuation to write your paper.
Now that we've read your text for this week, I hope you go on your own and answer those 4 questions and then write a little bit about that prompt. Can you still be friends with someone even if you don't talk for a while? If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and email. I know you will do a wonderful job. Stay safe, stay learning, and stay healthy.